Hello everyone, in this video, we will look at which backgrounds offer the most bang for your buck for your character's class. Backgrounds got a major overhaul in the new player's handbook for the 2024 5th edition D&D update, making them much more important to your character. If you missed the video looking at which backgrounds are best for the Barbarian, there's a link in the description below or click the thumbnail at the end of this video. One last thing before we jump right into it, this isn't an optimization guide. We will be looking at the backgrounds that make your character viable while giving you the room to be creative. Now jumping right into the first background on this list is the Acolyte. The combination of Acolyte and Bard distances the class from its usual tropes and gives the Bard a bit of faith. You can improve your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma with the Acolyte. Charisma is the primary ability score for the Bard and is integral to all your class features and spellcasting. We can avoid repeating just how important charisma is. All backgrounds featured in this video have the option to provide a bonus to charisma. Intelligence and wisdom are both viable ability scores for the Bard, as each can support their respective skills you have proficiency in, or skills supported by those ability scores that benefit from Jack of all trades. If you choose to have your Bard be the information gatherer with any knowledge skills, +1 intelligence is perfectly fine. By choosing to add a +1 to wisdom, skills like insight and perception complement your suite of social skills. A +2 to charisma and a +1 into either intelligence or wisdom is probably the common option, but a +1 to all three ability scores is perfectly viable if you're trying to be a bit more well-rounded with your skill set. The Acolyte will expand the Bard's initial spell list with the Magic Initiate feat. This background specifies that the 2 cantrips and first level spell must come from the Cleric spell list. In addition to this, you can cast those spells using your preferred casting ability. This means you can cast Bless, Guiding Bolt, or Shield of Faith using your charisma as a Bard. Having more spells in your arsenal in the lower tiers of play gives you a strong start and can offer flavorful or optimal levels of customization you're looking for. As an Acolyte, you will have proficiency with the Insight and Religion skills. Insight is a great skill to back up your social skills as a Bard. This will help you suss out an NPC's mood to figure out which approach to take in the social encounter. This becomes valuable for you to put some points into Wisdom. Religion is a flavorful knowledge gathering skill that could get some use if you manage to put some points into intelligence. For the most part, this skill will enable you to roleplay your Bard's connection to their faith. Your tool proficiency as an Acolyte will be in the Calligrapher's tools. The biggest boon this tool provides you is the ability to make spell scrolls with spells on your spell list. With some downtime, you can make a scroll or two to take on your next outing to preserve some spell slots. The Acolyte background is a solid option for Bards that are built to focus on spellcasting and skills. The lack of Constitution or Dexterity bonuses to buff your hit points or armor scores means your Acolyte Bard will want to cast spells from a distance and will shine in social or exploration challenges. The additional spells from Magic Initiate and the ability to craft spell scrolls with the Calligrapher's tools reinforces this idea. I see the Acolyte Bard combination less as an entertainer and more as a missionary. They could be a College of Lore Bard that travels the world to spread the word of their faith. A Bard pulling cons is one of the classic tropes of the class. The Charlatan is the perfect option for this. As a Charlatan, your ability score improvement options are Dexterity, Constitution, and Charisma. These 3 ability scores are the perfect set for any Bard. Dexterity is great for raising your armor class, improving your initiative, and it's a must for Bards who want to use finesse weapons. Constitution will provide the necessary padding to your hit points whether casting from afar or getting into melee. A +2 to Charisma and a +1 into either Dexterity or Constitution is fine. A +1 to all 3 scores is great too. With this background, you'll get the Skilled Origin feat, which grants you proficiency with 3 skills of your choice. Bard is a skill monkey class, and this just expands on their niche. The skill proficiency support your ability to be a con artist. You will be proficient with Deception and Sleight of Hand. Deception is part of the social skill suite and will let you tell lies big or small. Sleight of Hand is a great pickup as it will let you conceal an item, plant something on someone, or if you have sticky fingers, it's your go-to pickpocket skill. The con artist fantasy doesn't stop with just the skills. Charlatan gives you proficiency with a Forgery Kit. Forgery Kit is a situational tool that shines in political campaigns or in general games that are heavier on roleplay. This background is mechanically great for Bards. It supports the 3 most important ability scores for the class and grants you additional skills with the Origin feat. I have no complaints about this background as it works with any Bard, whether you want to get up in melee as a Dancer or Valor Bard, or stay back and cast spells as a Glamour or Lore Bard. If there is a negative, it's with the Forgery Kit proficiency, as it's niche for most standard adventuring campaigns, but that's the case with the majority of tools. A character idea for a Charlatan Bard is a scheming gambler who will take risks for a huge reward, but will more than likely stack the deck in their favor. Any Bard subclass works with this, as the background's fantasy is doing much of the heavy lifting with this background and class combination. We're going back to back with 2 iconic backgrounds for the Bard. The Entertainer background is the de facto Bard background for most players, and the updated version might be one of the strongest options for the class in the 5th edition 24 update. The Entertainer lets us put ability score improvements into Strength, Dexterity, and Charisma. Strength seems like the odd choice, but depending on your character's build, it can be a viable option. If you want to play a Valor Bard that uses strength-based martial weapons, you probably want to put a bonus into Strength. Dexterity is great for all Bards to help out with your armor class initiative and dex-based skills. A +2 into Charisma and a +1 in Dexterity is probably the default ASI boosting option, but if you're playing a Valley Bard, As I said, putting a bonus into strength is viable. I could see a +1 into all 3 scores as a viable option, and even seeing a +2 into strength and a +1 into charisma being viable depending on your starting ability scores. Entertainer's Origin feat is one of the strongest available. With the Musician Origin feat, you gain proficiency with 3 musical instruments of your choice and gain the Encouraging Song trait. Encouraging Song will let you give heroic inspiration to a number of allies equal to your proficiency bonus every rest. Those select allies will have a free dice reroll after every rest, allowing them to get a better chance at beating nasty status conditions or landing those hits against the monsters. For the skill proficiencies, you gain Acrobatics and Performance. Acrobatics will help you overcome certain physical challenges, and with a boost to your dexterity, it will be a viable skill for you. As an entertainer bard, performing is your entire shtick. Its viability at the table depends entirely on the player's creativity and a DM's willingness for shenanigans. Neither skill opens new avenues of roleplay, but the entertainer background is meant to double down on a part of the bard's class fantasy. It shouldn't be a surprise that entertainer's tool proficiency is with a musical instrument of your choice. This brings the total number of instruments you are proficient with up to 7. That means you are proficient in a majority of the instrument featured in the player's handbook. The entertainer background allows the bard to lean heavier into a huge aspect of the class fantasy and supports a variety of character builds with its ability score improvement options. The Music Origin feat is powerful and probably one of the strongest Origin feats in the game. Giving your party a free reroll every rest provides a huge safety net, ensuring your team accomplishes its goals. Any bard subclass works with the entertainer background. Let the flavor of the subclass influence what kind of entertainer your character is. The next background is the polar opposite of the entertainer. The hermit background will have your bards seclude themselves from the rest of the world instead of taking center stage. As a hermit, you'll be able to put ability score improvements into constitution, wisdom, and charisma. All 3 options are great for your bard, and putting a +1 in all scores is perfectly viable. No one will say no to having more hit points and getting an edge in maintaining your concentration checks, so putting any points into constitution is always welcome. Wisdom is important for perception since it's the most used skill in the game. Even if you aren't proficient with the skill, boosting your wisdom along with the bonus provided by Jack of all trades can make a huge difference in exploration challenges. Putting a +2 into charisma and a +1 into constitution is the safest bet, but a +1 into wisdom is also viable if you don't mind a hit to your constitution. The hermit background supports players who are looking to be better at healing their allies due to the Healer Origin feat. Healer has 2 traits that improve healing. The first is Battle Medic, which will let you use a healer's kit to heal an ally with the use of one of their hit die. Healing rerolls is a solid trait that lets you reroll 1s on your die whenever you cast a healing spell or use the Battle Medic trait. Nothing feels worse than fumbling a healing roll, and no one's going to complain about having some healing assurance. The skill proficiencies, on the other hand, are a bit of a hit and miss. Medicine will be useful to stabilize your allies if you're out of spells to land a heal, or if you have to channel your inner forensic scientist and attempt to determine how an NPC died. Religion, on the other hand, feels like a flavor option if you're angling your hermit to be like Yoda. Unfortunately, without a boost to intelligence, it's not going to be doing too much for your character. As a hermit, you're proficient with a herbalism kit. This will allow you to craft a healer's kit to use with your healer feature, and also allow you to craft potions of healing. Unfortunately, the herbalism kit requires intelligence to craft, and you may not be best at it. The herbalism kit has the potential to be useful, but the hermit doesn't have the ability score improvements to support it. I think the hermit background is an okay option if you're looking to supplement your healing a tiny bit as a kooky tail spinner. It has 3 solid ability score improvements for those looking to play in a perceptive spell-slinging bard. The hermit fantasy takes the bard away from the usual social savvy fantasy and asks players to figure out why their bard has been living away from people. If I were to play a hermit bard, I'd play a glamour bard connected to the Fey realm, spinning fairy tales of legends past, and join the party to create their own story in search of their happy ending. Take your bard off the stage and have them run their own item shop with the merchant background. As a merchant, your ability score improvement options are Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma. Most players will put the +2 into Charisma and a +1 to Constitution with this background. Given that Charisma is the ability score that makes the Bard function, Intelligence seems like a dumb stat, but Intelligence does open up the potential for your Bard to be the information gatherer for your team. The combination of spell casting and the choice of many skill proficiencies makes Intelligence a viable pick for you. You can't go wrong with a +1 into all ability scores here. The Merchant's Origin feat is Lucky. For those of you who played 5th edition before the 2024 update, you're probably thinking that this has got to be the most busted Origin feat in the game. Rest assured, Lucky has been nerfed in the update to be more table friendly. It is still a strong feat, giving you a number of luck points equal to your proficiency bonus to grant yourself advantage on a d20 test or impose disadvantage on a d20 test against an enemy. It's still one of the strongest Origin feat out of the bunch, but isn't the game warping feat that it once was. The merchant skill proficiencies will still have your character being a social butterfly. Your bard will have proficiency with animal handling and persuasion. Animal handling is primarily a flavor option, but it will come up every once in a while if you need to calm down a scared or threatened animal during an exploration encounter. Persuasion, on the other hand, will be your bread and butter skill to will and deal your customers. Neither skill opens up a new avenue of play for the bard class, but the merchant fantasy adds a fun twist to the bard's traditional party roles. On the other hand, your tool proficiency could open up the exploration pillar for your bard. As a merchant, you will have proficiency with the navigator's tools, which can be used to chart a course and give your team an easier time avoiding dangers to the next dungeon. The merchant background is a strong option to consider due to the lucky origin feat, your ability score improvement options, and your tool proficiency opening up more avenues of play. The merchant is probably one of my favorite options for the Bards simply because of the character fantasy spin it puts on the class. The Bard's class fantasy is steeped in performance, and the merchant takes that identity into the realm of commerce. A character idea for the merchant bard is a valid bard who uses their goods in combat as a way to sell them. The next background is a favorite of mine to pair with the bard class, and that is the noble. I find the bard to be my preferred choice to best convey a character who is trained in diplomacy and fine arts. As a noble, your ability score improvement options are strength, intelligence, and charisma. This combination of scores lends itself to building your bard in a few different directions. If you want to be a noble bard who's been trained in martial combat, strength becomes viable. Putting a +1 or even a +2 into strength will help with your weapon attacks. This direction lends itself to the College of Valor bard. Now, if you want your noble bard to be the information gatherer of the party and play into the studied noble trope, putting a +1 to intelligence is the way to go. Having the boost to intelligence will allow you to utilize those knowledge skills a bit more effectively, even if you aren't proficient with them. Unlike the strength option, your character will primarily be spellcasting, so make sure to put a +2 into charisma. With this background, you get the skilled origin feat, which allows you to choose 3 skills or an artisan tool of your choice to be proficient with. This will give you immense flexibility to customize the skill or tool set your noble is trained in. I take advantage to choose skills or tools related to the culture your noble character is connected to. For example, if your noble bard is from a kingdom tied to nature or the fae, I choose the nature and survival skills along with the herbalism kit. The skills keep adding up as you will also be proficient with the history and persuasion skills. History will be the skill used to draw on the traditions of royalty and related customs. Persuasion is your go-to diplomacy option, and as a noble bard, being the party face means you can prevent combat encounters or gain advantages through building alliances. The only disappointing proficiency you get from the noble is proficiency with the gaming set of your choice. All this does is have your DM introduce a minigame into your session. Despite my slight disappointment with the tool proficiency, the noble background is a great choice for the bard due to its flexibility and character building. The ability to score improvement options lend itself to melee and ranged spellcaster builds. This level of customization is further supported by the skill origin feat, allowing you to further support your abilities in the exploration or social pillars of the game. A character idea for the noble bard would be a College of Valor bard who is trained in equal parts warfare and the arts, looking to accomplish a great deed to bring prestige back to their family name. The last background on this list is the Wayfarer, which will support the world-traveling minstrel trope. As a Wayfarer, your ability score improvement options are dexterity, wisdom, and charisma. All 3 options are viable scores to improve, so don't be afraid to put a +1 bonus into all options. Putting a +2 into charisma and a +1 into dexterity is the safe option supporting any of the bard subclasses, no matter if you want to sling spells as a glamour or lore bard, or get in the enemy's face as a valor or dancer bard. The dexterity will boost your armor class and improve your initiative, and if you're playing the valor or dancer subclasses, lets you land your attacks. Depending on how melee oriented you want to be, a +2 to dexterity and a +1 to charisma ability score improvement option is viable. I think there's a case to be made for a +2 charisma +1 wisdom build. This build will firmly plant you as a highly perceptive ranged spellcaster. The Wayfarer gives you the lucky feat, and as I stated earlier with the merchant background, it's one of the stronger origin feats in the game. Again, you'll be able to grant advantage to your D20 test or disadvantage on an enemy's D20 test a few times per long rest. This gives your bard some extra insurance to accomplish their goals or save their skin if they get into an unfavorable situation. The 2 skill proficiency you'll get with the Wayfarer are Insight and Stealth. Insight is a solid skill to use before engaging an NPC with your social skills. Knowing the general attitude of an NPC will let you know whether to apply pressure and intimidate them or take a friendlier approach with persuasion. Since you can add your bonus to dexterity with this background, Stealth is viable, letting you fill in the party role of a scout, especially if you place expertise on it. Even with spells at your disposal, sneaking around as the party scout does require a specific set of tools, and the Wayfarer doesn't disappoint. You will have proficiency with Thieves' tools. With Stealth, Thieves' tools, and expertise on both, you will be rivaling a rogue, and you will have a greater advantage due to spellcasting. The Wayfarer is another strong option for the bard that offers build variety, a strong origin feat, and the skills to take on the scout role. A character idea I'd use for this is a world-traveling glamour bard from the Feywild, attempting to find their place outside of the domains of delight. And that's all my suggestions for the new backgrounds for your bard using the new player's handbook. Let me know which background you would use for this list, or if you think I missed a background that works with the bard. Share that with me in the comments section. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, where I drop player content for you to use in your 5th edition games at home. This month I have a variant of the ASMR that has a Quaddle lineage. You can find a link to the Patreon and that channel Discord in the description below. Alright, I'm out of here. Have a good one.